Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of While We Wait, Halo Infinite Edition. In this series, we're gonna review one Halo game a month until Halo Infinite releases later this year. Here are the rules. We can't let nostalgia affect us, and we have to rate the game based on what our standards are today. So you might like some of these scores, and some of these scores might piss you off. Either way, let us know in the comments what you think about these games, and whether or not they could compete with games being released today. That being said, let's start the timer at 90 seconds, and Eli, tell us what Halo 1 is about.
Alright, so tell me if you've heard this before. You're a space marine out in the far reaches of space on a barren planet defeating the big bad guy that's going to destroy some weird world, right? Not exactly when it comes to Halo Combat Evolved. In this game, you're not just any other space marine. You're a highly experimented and genetically modified human in Spartan armor that essentially makes you a walking tank. Also,
that's no moon.
it's an ancient alien construct and installation that we learn about later on that has the power to wipe out millions and millions of lives. And finally, you're fighting not only one bad guy, but three. You have the Flood, which is essentially a parasitic zombie-like creature that infects its host to become its soldiers. Then we have the Covenant, which is a religious faction that pretty much recruits a lot of different alien species hell-bent on the purpose of collecting the rings and destroying humans. And finally, we have Guilty Spark. He's essentially the governor and carekeeper of the ring that you're on. Alright, with that said, we have three objectives. One, we gotta make sure that the Flood does not leave that ring. 2, we gotta make sure that the Covenant does not weaponize the ring. And finally, 3, we need to stop Guilty Spark from actually activating the ring, which would kill us. Now, how do we do this efficiently and effectively? Of course, we nuke them like the good old-fashioned American way. And happy ending, right? Well, once again, not exactly.
Alright, so that's the basic premise of Halo Combat Evolved. Now let's jump into how the game holds up today. Alright guys, now we're going to talk about what we liked about this game. Ryan, you want to start us off?
Yeah, man. So easily right away, the first thing that hits you is the music. I mean, you can tell, man, like the score of this game just creates this absolutely unique sci-fi ambience. And it's just, it really blows you away. It truly, for me, it just truly immerses me into the Halo world. And I mean, whenever you're in the battle, like the heat of battle, the battle music keeps you just absolutely pumped up and engaged. And even when you're not in battle, when you're just like walking around doing like level exploring, you get this absolutely tranquil atmosphere.
Yeah, Marty O knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
phenomenal. It's really, really freaking good.
Oh, it truly is. And to keep going off of that, the level immersion is still there because in the level design, not only are these maps completely creative and innovative, but they're massive. And there's always something that the maps give you that you could use to your advantage. And again, this is all just creating that immersive experience that, it feels like all of this is part of the Halo world.
Yep.
Yeah, and you do feel like you're in a sandbox and like there's toys and you just want to play around in these levels, and each of them are different enough in their biomes that like they all feel unique, and they set you up differently to just have fun.
And again, man, like to this day, like the replayability is there. Like the co-op multiplayer, just to kind of sit there and mess around with a friend to be competitive or whatever the heck it is, like it's so much fun. And having a good couch co-op game readily available is completely necessary.
So for me, the biggest thing that stood out is the gun handling. Right when you get the pistol from Commander Keyes at the beginning, it just feels perfect. The animation, the rumble, the bullet aim assist, the sound, it just comes together. And in this aspect, I really do believe Halo was way ahead of its time. Yeah, and it's like every gun is like that. Every gun feels unique and weighty and good. Besides that, I think the AI is just phenomenal. The friendlies are funny, they're active, they throw grenades, they jump in the car, they react to what you do. You could even shoot them and they'll shoot you back, and like, if you kill too many of them, they'll all go against you. And even by today's standards, most games won't let you shoot a friendly at all.
Yeah, true.
And the enemy AI is also really, it reacts to you the same way. They yell at each other, they give orders, they throw grenades. and their animations are so realistic and like fluid. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And one thing
I
that's really
agree.
cool going with the realism is that, you know, like if you're fighting the Covenant and you got a elite with like 4 or 5 grunts with him, as soon as you kill that elite, the grunts are like, fuck this.
Yeah.
They start booking it out of there.
This isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and besides that, man, I just got to say that the game is optimized. It runs great. There's no crashes. There's hardly any bugs. It's just I got to throw that in there based on games coming out today that have day one patches. So that's what I got.
Yeah, and just to pick it back off of you and Ryan, I just want to say that, it's true that this game just gave us great world building for an entry game in a series, I mean, hell, we didn't even know it was going to be a series, but yeah, it gave us great introductions to new, antagonists and protagonists, like, for example, Master Chief, a mysterious new hero that you think is going to be just like everyone else, but yet, you start finding out he commands so much respect. He's known as a war hero, and it just gives you so much in-depth story on them as well, even if it's subtext from, things in the area.
Yeah.
Along with that, just Halo in itself, you don't know what it is. It's a mysterious planet or construct of some origin, and you just don't know. And you start finding out little bits, pieces of what it has to do with pretty much what the whole story is.
Yeah, and it's like the definition of short and sweet and show and don't tell. It keeps you wanting more, and it shows you the information, and it you live it. It doesn't just show you text boxes. It's really well done.
And I just also want to just bring up the Covenant as well. The fact that there's like 3 different bad guys all together, but the Covenant itself is just so interesting when you first meet them too.
Exactly.
And it's a great introduction to all of it, and I feel like it all comes together with how you said, Ryan, the sound, the music, and Fabian, the gunplay. It's just amazing experience.
All right, guys. So that's everything we liked about the game. But like with everything, there's always room for improvement. So Fabian, why don't you go ahead and tell us where you'd like to improve?
All right, guys. So I'm just gonna address the elephant in the right now. The graphics aren't great. Like, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of hate for this, but we have to grade this game by today's standards. And honestly, the graphics might be able to beat some mobile games today, maybe, but the textures are very low res. Like, I think that in simplistic art style really helps the game to like not get dated as quickly. But even like the character models, like the characters' faces, they look really like stiff, and you can tell they could only control like the tips of the lips and like the eyebrows.
Yeah,
and like some of the vistas suffered, and it's hard to get used to based on so many other games looking prettier. So yeah, I felt like I had to call that out, but that's what I got.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of you, Fabian, I just want to say that with some of the level designs, I feel like they kind of repeated themselves. We had 2 snow levels, we had 2 of the alien ship levels, the Covenant ship. And just to go a little bit deeper into those, they were kind of repetitive.
Yeah. You also repeat the Pillar of Autumn twice, now that I think about it.
Dude, but you see repetitive corridors, but just in those specific ones, like, you get lost a lot. I got lost a lot just going down the same corridor over and over and over again, not knowing where to go until finally, 30 minutes later, that indicator pops up. Like, it's bad level management.
That's true. And on that level, that alien spaceship, it's not even like creative. It's the same hallway you're seeing over and over, which is why you get lost, because it's literally the exact same hallway. And also in the library, I mean, talking about level design, Eli, like there's no rhyme or reason to how the enemies spawn or where you're going. They're just spawning everywhere. That's the level from hell, to be honest. And like they made it apparent that that's so. But
yeah, that's all I had though.
All right, well then, just to piggyback off Eli, and the thing is that we can improve here easily. The lack of customization and progression really take the game's replayability down quite a bit. Sure, you can sit there and have a good couch co-op, but not being able to actually feel as though you're progressing. Something we actually made a comment about in our Halo Wars 2 review is that when you upgrade your units, you don't see any real improvement. You're just seeing the same thing, so it kind of gets boring after a while. And
Yeah.
speaking of things that can also get a little boring and repetitive, is that, you know, the gameplay mechanics are so trivial and that you can't sprint. There's no aiming down the sights, with the exception of the sniper, the pistol, the rocket launcher, and I'm not sure really anything else in this game. But again, like there's no customization, so it also makes the weapon variants very, like, you know, lackluster because there aren't any. You don't have any real weapon variants. It's just, by today's standards, very bare bones in that regard. That's all I got.
All right, with that being said, now we're going to go ahead and give our independent scores. I guess I'll go first in saying that, you know, besides the few faults that it does have, for me, I always love this game. It has a great story. Like I said, it just always immerses you into it multiple times through every single level. And because of that, I'm going to give it a solid 8.
And I'm going to go ahead and piggyback off what you said, Eli. I think despite it having a special place in my heart, I think even by today, I could recommend it to someone and they could play it and they could immediately feel that it's a great game based on what we talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah, to piggyback off of you, Fabian, you know, had it been released today, you know, this game is going to be getting a 7 out of 10 from me. Like, I love it. I, you know, replay it. But again, like, by today's standards, by other FPSs, it's just, there's a lot of room for improvement with it. But again, a 7 out of 10 is a solid score for me.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, composite score for this channel is going to be a 7 out of 10 for Halo 1 Combat Evolved.
All right, guys, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think about this game and what you would rate it if it were to come out today. We'll see you all soon. Like.